Nick, so let me ask you, what is on the line for James Harden this playoff run?
Well, it's the only way he can actually tangibly elevate his standing in NBA history is not only a finals run, but a championship during his prime. Right now is as good a time as any. Like, what James Harden, his regular season statistical profile, the All-NBAs, the top 2 MVP finishes, where he has more than Kobe, more than Shaq, the same number of MVPs, by the way, as each of those guys, and the scoring, the points per game stuff to go along with the fact that he's a 7-rebound, 8-assist-a-night guy. It is of an all-time top-tier great. But the fact that he's only played in one finals, he played in that one finals when he was not one of the main top 2 guys on the team. It was obviously KD and Russ. And the fact that in Houston, he has just consistently been unable to beat the juggernaut that was Golden State will always be held against him. But if they win the title, Wilds, you have to start talking about him as one of the 20 greatest players ever. Like, I'm very adamant that the top 14 players of all time is a list that is almost impossible to break into. Maybe Kevin Durant will, maybe somebody will, but LeBron, Michael, Kareem, Magic, Russell, Wilt, Duncan, Kobe, Bird, West, Oscar, Akeem, Shaq, Moses. There's your 14. I happen to believe number 15 is Dr. J. And then we've got a group of 10 guys, Steph, KD, Dirk, Elgin, Bob Pettit for the old-timers, Barkley, Steph, Dwayne Wade. Harden not only can move into that group, Wilds, he can move above 4 or 5 of those guys I just mentioned because he already has accomplished more in the regular season than most of those guys. And a lot of those guys only have the one title. Some of them have none. Karl Malone's in that group as well. And so that's what's on the line for him. That's why I think he has more to gain than anybody, Wilds.
Yeah, so I think this list is 100% accurate, Nick. It feels a little Dirk-esque. Like, if Dirk didn't win that championship, I don't know where he would fall on your top 100 players, but I think he makes a huge leap. Now, the question is, Broussard, if they don't win, like, how often are we going to keep on running this ISO ball thing and saying next year, next year, next year? They're all in on ISO ball this year more than ever because now we've got not only Harden playing ISO ball, Russ is playing ISO ball. They're the top 2 ISOs in the entire league. Dame Lillard is 3rd, which is another playoff problem. And then the biggest damning thing that I saw, this was last year, and it was a pregame interview. It was Scottie Pippen talking to PJ Tucker, and there was a moment of raw honesty that was just great television, Broussard. And they were just, and PJ was like, yeah, our points per possession and da-da-da. And Pippen was like, miss me with all that. I've played a lot of years in this league, and I'll tell you this. If I see you for 7 games, you're not going to win playing that style because you're predictable. Broussard, I think this is the make-or-break year for the Rockets. I love Daryl, and I think he showed great leadership here. But I don't know how often we keep on running this system if it doesn't work.
It's definitely the make-or-break year for the Rockets. Look, they brought in Russell Westbrook to win a championship. They didn't bring him in to go to the second round, the third round, be the third best team in the West. And that's what they are at best. So what's on the line for James Harden? Nothing. Because they have no chance of winning the championship. This is madness,
oh my
Nick.
God,
Look, I agree. I agree wholeheartedly. I agree wholeheartedly with you that if somehow James Harden could lead these Rockets to the title, it would raise his legacy without question. I also, though, disagree. I think Steph and Durant are in that top 15 somewhere. But anyway, Harden, they can't win it. Yeah, of course, if he wins it. But if Luka wins it, too, his stock's going to raise. You know, if Jason Tatum wins it, they're not going to win it. Who are they beating? They're not beating the Lakers. They're not beating the Clippers. And so, no. And here's the other thing. Pressure, I'm going to mess up the phrase, but pressure is the love child of expectations. Is that it? You know what I mean? It's something like that. Yeah. There's no pressure on James Harden because no sober-minded basketball fan expects them to win. No one. If they get past and they win their first round, they get to the second round, lose to one of the teams from LA, that's what we all expect, and that's what's going to happen. So,
listen,
it's ridiculous.
Okay, but before we move on, just quickly here, I just want to say to America, Chris Broussard and his love affair with the Los Angeles Clippers, acting despite all evidence that the Clippers have been a demonstrably better team than the Rockets this year, is just baffling to me. I don't know that if the Clippers and Rockets play each other, who has the best player on the court? Well, maybe the Clippers, but probably the Rockets.
No, not
Harden
maybe.
is certainly
Not
okay. Maybe it is okay. Even if you believe that, it's the
two-way
fourth best player in the league against the fifth best player in the league. Who's the better number 2 option, Russ or Paul George? I mean, you could argue Paul George. Russ is certainly more accomplished. By the way, the playoff PG-13. The last time Paul George won a playoff series was 2014, by the way, America. That was 6 years ago. So everyone's like, oh, playoff P. He's been riding off the fact that he took LeBron 6 games in 2014 for a presidential term and a half. But that's neither here nor there. So this idea that we can just cross out the Rockets, Jenna, I think is nonsense. Are they my pick? No. Are they the favorites? No. But Jenna, you can't just cross them off.
So then let me ask you guys this a different way. Whose fault is it then that James Harden hasn't won yet? Is it his style of play? Is it the way he has often been criticized for playing in the postseason? Or is it like what Daryl Morey said, that maybe he himself hasn't put the right team around James Harden? Broussard, I'll kick it to you.
Look, Daryl Morey, he's made some mistakes, but he's given James Harden, Dwight Howard, Chris Paul, and now Russell Westbrook. So, and they've always had a nice cast of role players. Okay. Harden has not gotten it done at times in the playoffs. We all know that. You know, whether you can go way back to Nick mentioned his first trip to the finals with OKC. He didn't play well. Even though he was a third banana, he didn't play well in that series. We can go to 2018. That Rockets team was good enough. They had the Golden State Warriors with Kevin Durant down 3-2. It's not Daryl Morey or James Harden's fault that Chris Paul got hurt and didn't play the last 2 games. Maybe they already have a championship if Paul isn't injured. But then in last year, they had their shot, right? And Kevin Durant gets hurt in Game 5, and James Harden and Chris Paul cannot lift them past an injury-ravaged Golden State team. So I put most of it on Harden. Not saying he's not a great player. It's just tough to win a championship. But I don't put it on Daryl Morey in this case. It's on Harden because he's had some struggles in the playoffs.
The defense of Morey is, in 2018, they were the best team in basketball, better than a team that was the defending champ and a lot of people thought was the most talented team ever, the Warriors team. They won more regular season games. They're up 3-2, and their second best player pulls his hamstring, and it's a wrap for them. Now, they still could have won Game 6. They were up 15. Game 7, they were up 15. But I just want to say a couple things about Harden in his defense. Harden did have some awful playoff moments early in his tenure with Houston. In 2015, he had 2 of them. He had the comeback against the Clippers in the second round where he was on the bench for it. And then in the next round against Golden State in the closeout game, he was 2 for 11 with 12 turnovers. But that was 2015. Since then, James Harden has only had 1 truly awful playoff moment. A game where I believe, and I have reason to believe, he played with a concussion. Game 6 against the Spurs in 2017 when he was 2 for 11 against an undermanned Spurs team and he looked totally out of sorts because he got concussed in the previous game. Aside from that, he's been fantastic in the postseason. His regular season averages are 29, 6, and 8 on 44%. His playoff averages are 28, 6, and 7 on 41%. And Jenna, just like you earlier said, when a guy gets called injury-plagued, whether it's true or not, it just sticks with him. If you're called a guy who can't get it done in the playoffs, it just sticks with you. So Broussard, before we break, I just want to show you something real quick. Here's 2 sets of stats. You tell me who you think was better in these 2 if we can put it up. Well, it does give it away a bit here, but this is both against the Warriors, 2 different rounds. One guy averaged more points on a better percentage, more assists, slightly fewer rebounds. Can we show who those people are? Harden and Kawhi.
Okay.
Kawhi gets finals MVP against a beat-up Warriors team and is called a playoff killer. Harden gets said he choked again against a Warriors team that, for the most part, Broussard was healthy for the first 5 games of that series. Those numbers to me have to mean something as far as how we evaluate how each of those guys played and the results-oriented analysis we do.
Look, I don't rip Harden as a guy that can't get it done in the playoffs. All I'm pointing out is that he has had his moments where he has struggled in the playoffs in critical moments. And like you said, last year when Golden State was hurt, he didn't get them over the hump. That's all I'm pointing out. I've said the same thing as you. He's been terrific at times in the playoffs, and most recently, he's always played well. However, what you forgot with your stats right there is the other side of the basketball, defense. And that's where Kawhi Leonard is definitively better than James Harden. And so I would take Kawhi as a better player than James Harden. And obviously, I think he was better against the Warriors than James Harden, no matter what the stats say, offensively.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from First Things First, or go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.